I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody know the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep forking it out the root. Make country flowers in there, fork it up. Make country produce in there, fork it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of them politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country. Riding on me donkey, transportation bliss. Me fireside bubbling a goodie. I hear rioting in the gas crisis. Surrounded by wild animals. What a vicious pack. But none of them does launch an attack. None of them poison us like Imbert and Sat. The hunt always on, I could say that much. And true, can switch it off like crime watch. My mission now is to put a stop to whosoever fucking me country up. Some say a man named Eric, George, Robbie and Patrick. Some say Capildeo, Padis, Kamla Basteo. Old man Bedu said this ain't nothing new. They fucking up long before 1962. If Butler was around, he might have tell we directly who fucking up me country.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Rebuttal. It's getting close to Christmas, and I can tell you that this is our last show until Christmas, because Christmas is actually Friday. I hope you're getting ready to celebrate, those of you who celebrate Christmas, and I hope that you are going to have a great time, notwithstanding the COVID. Please follow all the precautions which you have been following up to this point in time so that we could ensure that there is no community spread of COVID. Now, if you're in St. Kitts and Nevis, welcome. If you're in the St. Kitts and Nevis diaspora, a special welcome. I'm glad, as usual, to be here with you and to have a brief discussion, notwithstanding I don't have call back. I'm glad that I have an opportunity to speak with you this evening. I don't take it for granted that you still listen. And so it's good for us to congregate once more and have our say, or you allow me to have my say. I'm going to talk on a topic this evening, and it's going to be a little tedious, a little boring, but I want to share with you some information so that you have a better understanding of how the government works with respect to the budget. Last week and this week, you had budget discussions, and I'm not sure how much of it you understand. I'm not sure what your takeaway was. But this budget was presented in the context of a local, regional, and global context that is difficult. COVID has caused or wreaked havoc on most of our economies. We hear that we are expecting minus 18% growth, if you could call it growth, but the economy will contract somewhere in the region of 18 to 20% in St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's not a small feat. The economy is in dire straits. And so you expect that the economy would be the focal point of the budget. I am not sure that that's what happened during this budget presentation. But let me talk about the whole issue of the budget as it relates to national development and the way the country operates. You see, a country must be seen as a whole entity. It's not bits and pieces of the country that matter. It's the country as a whole. Hence, the development of a country should be undertaken as a holistic enterprise, a holistic activity. You have to see the country as a whole, and you have to move to develop the country as a whole. St. Kitts and Nevis is sufficiently small so as to be developed as a whole without that much difficulty. And so our approach to national development should be a whole of country approach. Now, unfortunately, that is not how I think things are done in our little Twin Island Federation. Defenders of the way things are done may say that the government is doing what I'm talking about already. They would say that the ministries of government are divided in a manner that they represent the various sectors of society or sectors of the country. And that is partly true. But there is a problem, not so much with the way you divide up the country into ministries, departments, and divisions. The problem is that our country is not well coordinated. The country is made up of a number of sectors. And these sectors include the following: the political sector, which includes your democratic institutions like your electoral office and also the government. Then there is the economic sector, which includes the private sector businesses. Then there is the social sector, which includes health, education, housing, culture, public safety, community development, etc. And then there is the technology sector, which includes information technology like TV, radio, information technology, education, innovation, what have you. And then you have the legal and justice sector, which includes the administration of the courts, the legislative drafting component of the parliament, etc. And then you have the environmental sector, which includes natural resources, natural hazards, etc. everything a country does falls somewhere within one of those sectors. So a national development model has to be created to include each of those sectors and as many subsectors as necessary. But I insist that we are not there yet. Every ministry of government fits into the template or the model that I just described. The problem is that some ministries are split, and so you find some ministries that should be under the same sector for coordination purposes. That doesn't happen. And so there are ministries that operate in silos, separate and apart from each other. There is no coordination of what happens in the ministries. And there is hardly any interaction between and amongst the ministries. In fact, within some ministries, with departments and division, there is no interaction, no coordination between the departments. I propose that everything should start with a national development plan. But there is no national development plan because there is no national development planning that is carried out in St. Kitts and Nevis. And at the ministerial levels, planning is either insufficient or inadequate. The government has to articulate the national development agenda. It has to articulate the national development priorities in each of its sectors. But that would only happen after a national development strategy is developed. And I've just said there's no effort to do that. Everything is disjointed. The government does not have a proper national development entity. It uses an entity in government, the Ministry of Finance, to coordinate its national development. So the government resorts to what it has written in its manifesto. That is traditional. We think that the manifesto is the national development agenda. But that has proven to be quite ineffective over the years. All governments around this region seem to do that. But guess what? This government did not propose any strategies or any policies leading up to the last election. This government did not have a manifesto leading up to the last government. And it does not have a national development plan. So this government is traveling blind. It is directionless. And it is directionless at the worst possible time. Because the economy is hurting. The country is hurting. And if there were ever a time for this government to have a plan, it would be now. But you see, it got away with it, you know. You voted in this government knowing fully well it had absolutely no plans. You voted in the government knowing that it didn't have an idea about where it was going to take the country. And you voted in this government without a plan at a time when the economy was taking a beating. when COVID was running rampant in the country. Most of you voted because you were paid so to do. So if you get a sense that the country is going off course, it is because it actually is. We are not focused. Let us look at some concerns about where we are. Bear in mind that the budget that was presented is itself a financial plan which indicate how it intends to pay for the ideas that are put in a strategic and an operational plan. There is no strategic plan. There are operational plans, so to speak. I personally don't think they're adequate. And so you first have a plan, an annual operation plan. And the budget then tells you how to pay for the events or activities in that plan. In our instance, instead of having a strategic plan, which is a medium to long-term plan, we have a number of operational plans, which are annual operational plans, done year by year. So the budget is normally for the annual plan developed for the upcoming year. There are two main types of budgets that we deal with in government. One we call the recurrent budget, and the other we call the capital budget. The recurrent budget indicates the funds put towards ongoing activities which recur every year, your day-to-day activities, your daily operations. In other words, the recurrent budget pays for programs as opposed to projects. A program is an event or activity that once started is ongoing and as such has no specific end date. A project, on the other hand, has a specific start date and a specific end date. Projects are usually capital budgets. Also, if you have equipment and other durable goods which you need to purchase, you're likely to put them in your capital budget. But the bulk of the budget falls under the recurrent aspect of the budget. And then you have these special events or activities or projects that are funded under the capital budget. Now I noticed that there was this big brouhaha about $31 million that were put into the capital budget for the Pay for Peace. The Pay for Peace is not a capital project. The Pay for Peace is a recurring activity. It's a program. It started last year or year before? You paid about $12 million to it last year. You say you're going to pay about $10 million this year. Now I suspect that the reason you put it as a capital budget is that you have suggested that you are going to borrow money to pay for it. You're going to borrow some $8 million to pay for it, and you're going to use $2 million from revenue. I don't know that is the way it should be. Because if you think that the Pay for Peace program is going to stop next year, you got another thing coming. If you think the Pay for Peace program is going to come to an end before the next election, you got another thing coming. Once that program was started, was set up, and executed the way it has been, you ain't stopping it. You're not stopping it. And you well know. You knew it when you put $12 million in it. You knew you had to come back. Mark, you know. You had a notion that after the election, you may do away with it. But the participant warned you earlier, Clark. You were even threatened that you cannot stop it. And the thing about the threats, they know where you live. So that ain't gonna stop. Now, you argued that is a capital project and so forth. And by definition, a capital project has an end date. Douglas should have tell you to provide the project proposal and show how long the project is for. Now we could calculate what you are thinking. If you are saying that you would spend about $10 million a year on this program or project, then $31 million means you're going to go 2021, 2022, 2023. But like I said, that ain't going to happen. This is a program. You will pay for peace for a long time. And even when the government change, the new government will pay for peace. So I would just put that in the budget as we call it. Now there are a lot of strange things about this project which were addressed by the former Prime Minister. I notice now that it is moved out of national security and into the office of the Prime Minister. Now, essentially, national security is under the purview of the Prime Minister, you know. Why they move it, I don't know. I don't know if Petty got cold feet. Because any expenditure coming out of the Ministry of National Security has to be approved by the accounting officer, who is Petty. Now, this money goes from the Ministry of Finance via the Treasury and then to the Development Bank. Why? I don't know. It makes absolutely no sense. Because the Treasury is made up to disburse those very type of payments. And if the money is coming out of the consolidated fund to pay individuals for whatever reason, you ought to be able to handle that transaction through the Treasury. But guess what? There ought to be an entry into the books that says what you are paying each person for. But they don't want to do that. And so they would make a generalized entry saying this is the contribution to a particular project which is undertaken by the National Bank. There is no law that says government cannot forward money to the National Bank to undertake a project like that. But when you reach to National Bank, not National Bank, what am I saying? The Development Bank. Once it gets to the Development Bank, all bets are off. They are not going to make no entry saying that this money is paid to Jonathan DeVoe for XYZ. Because they don't know what they're paying it for. They don't want to tell you what they're paying it for. But government audit doesn't extend to the bank. And when the auditors show up to the bank, they run them. The bank has not been audited for God knows how long. So now this project falls under the office of the Prime Minister. And so I guess Tim has decided that he'll handle things. But a PS in the office of the Prime Minister still has to make that payment, because a minister is not a signatory to anything, any monies, any vouchers, anything in the civil service. The accounting officer is the PS. So somebody still got to sign off on that. But look, here's what I'm telling you. Once a project is set up and is placed under capital project, it does not mean that if you indicate that the project is going to cost $10 million this year, that's what it's going to cost, These boys are going to demand more money in 2021. If only because they can. Them are who got the handle. Them are who run the country. So when they decide that they need more money, all government has to do is say that the scope of the project has changed, and they do a change order, and more money is put into the project. So just because it says they got $10 million, don't let none of them tell you when you demand more money that the $10 million is enough or the $10 million is finished. Government is set up so that if a project has a change in scope, and that's just one type of change, it can, and it usually does, provide more money for the project. That is why in the past, and still presently, you find when people bid for government projects, they underbid so that they could get the project, and then later they present a change order or a variation order saying something changed, and now the project costs X more. Same thing with this project. When the persons participating in this project recognize that the money are done and they need a raise, they're going to demand a raise, and that raise will come. If it were an election year, more money would be put into that program, because that program is instrumental in government winning elections. It was instrumental in the government winning the last election, and it will be instrumental in the government winning a next election. And remember, you cannot stop it. This is one of them things. Once you start it, you dare not stop it, because there is a means to force your hands. There's a means to force your hands. And so I was listening intently, because I know that this ain't a project. This is a program. You may as well put the money in your current budget and make up your mind to run it. And you are telling me how, oh, it's a good program, or it's a good project if you wish. Why is it good? Because instead of 20 people getting killed, 12 getting killed? When you got countries that are bigger and more complex than ours, that got less murders than us? If you're paying for peace, you should have 0 murders in St. Kitts and Nevis. If you are paying for peace, nobody's supposed to dead via violent crime in St. Kitts. You understand what I'm saying? And so, nobody else in the region pays people not to kill one another. And they got less murders than we have. And you want to tell me. But you know why you do it? It's because you know a politician doesn't want to be in the open speaking out against this project. It was the same with PEP. You had difficulty speaking out against PEP. The present opposition have difficulty speaking out against STEP, even though it's they who started it. And they have difficulty speaking out against the Pay for Peace. You ain't see how Douglas was dancing around, trying not to make it look like he disagreed with the project or the program. The program is a poor program. The program is an unsuccessful program. But the program makes people feel good because instead of 20 people being killed, 12 or 13 or 14 are being killed. And so I suspect that the argument is that the 6 people or so who are not killed in a particular year is worth it. I guess I can't argue with that kind of logic. So I'm going to pause here and then I'm going to come back. And then I want to look at the issue of the economy specifically when I come back. So I'm going to take a break and then I'll be back in a little bit.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamonds and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume, just smell your swag, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Deon Street.
Ready or not, hear my clothes, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis. Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
I'm local.
Check me area code, me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
To international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
And have you informed with a range of topics.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, you're my girl.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep talking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, bark it up. Make country producing it, bark it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who talking up me country.
Welcome back to the Rebuttal. I'm Douglas Wattley, your host. Now I want to talk about the budget as it relates to the economy. I don't have all the details of the budget or the estimates, as the case might be. So I can't go into the kind of detail I would have liked to, but I'll save that for my show after the election, hoping that I get a copy of the estimates, etc. But I could tell you this much. There is no way we will have 5 or 8% economic growth in 2021. No way that's going to happen. You see, because growth just doesn't happen, you know. The government has to make policies and it has to have strategies that make growth happen. The government has to facilitate growth. And if you have an economy, which is a whole economy, if you are going to tell me that that economy is going to grow by X amount, then one of the first things you have to know what the components of the economy are. And then you have to target those components with growth strategies. You have to come up with tools and mechanisms to boost growth and correct a weak economy. That budget did no such thing. And so, yes, you argue that the economy grew by 2-point-something%, let's say 2.5% in 2020. Personally, I think it's less. No, in 2019. And then you said that it contracted, right, to where in 2020, the economy is minus 18%. Well, if you reach down by minus 18%, it means that it contracted by at least 20%. If, according to the figures from ECCB, it is 15% in 2020, then it contracted by at least 17%. So we are saying that the economy contracted by anywhere between 17 and 20%. You with me? Now, what you have to do is you have to reclaim that 17 to 20%, and then you have to have add-on growth before we could start feeling good, you know. And so, as Dr. Clark reminded you in the budget, if you argue, like the IMF, that St. Kitts would see 8% growth in 2021, that means you are at still, you still have contracted by about 10%, because IMF claim that you are at 18% contract. You have contracted to about 18%. If you take the ECCB numbers and you say that you are going to grow by 5%, you're still at about 10%. And so if you continue to grow at that rate, it's going to take you about 3 years before you recover from the COVID impact and start to grow again. But we know that even before COVID, you have had periods of recession, like in 2017. And I believe that you have not had growth anywhere above 1%. And so it tells me you don't know how to grow the economy. And this budget proves it. Now, let's look at how the economy is comprised. In other words, what contributes to the economy? And so what must grow in order for the economy to grow? One is agriculture. Agriculture. I don't have the figures in front of me. But you ain't put no money in agriculture. Even the money you promised from the stimulus, you didn't give them all of it. And you have not come up with strategies to provide for the water shortage issue for the farmers. You have not come up with strategies to deal with the monkey issue with farmers. You have not come up with money to invest in expanding the crops of our farmers. You ain't putting no money in farming. If you ain't coming with another $20-25 million for farming, you ain't doing diddly. And so you just yab talking. We're not going to see much contribution to the economy from agriculture. We're not going to see much. Now, let's look at wholesale and retail. Wholesale and retail is an important aspect of your economy. And of course, you recognize that that ties in with personal consumption or consumption generally. But we'll come back to consumption. But I don't know, with that many persons out of jobs, and with the unlikelihood of us putting those people, thousands of individuals, back into jobs for 2021, I don't see how you're going to enjoy any meaningful growth in wholesale and retail. Because you ain't do nothing to cause people to want to spend. Civil servants were promised 15% increase by the opposition. And the reason the opposition promised that 15% is that the former Prime Minister recognized that to get that economy working again, people got to get disposable income. People have to have money to spend. But look what is likely to happen. They're not going to get an increase. You with me? So the economy is not going to be boosted. But more than that, you threatening now to take money out of the pocket even before the economy start looking good again. Because you're now telling them that you intend to take about 13% out of their paycheck for Social Security. Now, when I was talking about Social Security, a lot of you might have been abused me, you know. But look, I ain't abused now. Because they're getting ready to take more money out of your pockets. And I keep telling you, you know. I keep telling you, the people they have running Social Security ain't nothing about running no financial institution. But you're getting ready to pay 13%. And that 13% ain't got nothing to do with what they plan to take from you for the so-called health insurance scheme. And I'm here to tell you right now, there is no need for a health insurance scheme. There is a way to restructure, redesign the present health system in St. Kitts for the same money that you're putting into it, $65 or so million, which would ensure, you see that word? Ensure is the same as insure. It would ensure that every citizen would have access to free healthcare in the country. Free. I'm talking about not even having to pay a doctor. $65 million or less could do that. I sat my butt down in my house and designed that system. Because Eugene had originally asked me to lead that process until Tim them tell him by now, the poor fella from can't handle that. And they went and they get some people who charge them an arm and a leg. And they're going to get something they can't use. They're going to get something that don't make no damn sense. You understand? But you would have to pay for it. So, increasing Social Security up to 13%, you still have to come up with money for the insurance, the health insurance scheme. Now, so wholesale and retail will not see that much improvement for you to suggest that there was growth. All right? You're saying, boy, yeah, you're going to do better than 2020. I don't buy that. I don't necessarily think so. You understand? And then you have to contemplate what size of the economy that it comprises. Where you have to look is for total consumption, which is divided between personal consumption and government consumption. That is where it is. Nearly 70%, if not more, of the economy is made up by personal consumption and government consumption put together. It is a consumption-driven economy. Well, if the economy depends on people consuming and the government consuming, then doesn't it make sense to provide more money so that both people and the government could consume? That don't seem like common sense to you? Well, nearly 3,000 people out of work. So their consumption is greatly inhibited. You would think that government would pull up the slack. But look at the budget. Government intends to spend more than $100 million less in 2021 than it did in 2020. And so whereas you thought that government purchases would help to boost overall spending and correct a weak economy, that ain't happening. It ain't happening. No, Douglas was needling Tim and say, look there now, you borrow. Douglas said, I thought I say only me one used to borrow. But let's face it, now is when you got to borrow. Now is when you got to borrow. You need to borrow to boost the economy. If you go in there thinking that you're going to be stingy. Sorry, I just got distracted. But what I was saying is this. If I were the government, I would pay a double in January. And I would pay stimulus to the unemployed so that you start the year with a bang. And I would even give a second VAT day for 2021 in January or early February. Start the year with a bang. Put some money in people's pocket so that they could do better. You understand what I'm saying? Now, let me pause there and then I'll just come back and close off the show and bid you good night.
I love being in the latest style and dress fine, or should I say classy. That is why I shop at First Class next to the taxi stand at Port Sante for fine gold and silver jewelry in precious, semi-precious and colored stones, diamonds and crystal watches, and the hottest handbags and wallets. And when I want to buy a gift for someone, that's easy too. I just ask them to make me a gift basket, and First Class has the best prices at Port Sante. So no matter what the occasion, come on into First Class and leave happy, knowing you've gotten the best deal for your money. It's First Class at Port Sante, where quality, low prices, and top-notch service are second to none.
Spread the word. New and exclusive every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Gospel Cafe with Carl D. Springate on KYSS FM 102.5. Tune in and connect with the Holy Ghost Connection with live interviews, Christian news, what's hot and what's not in the now. Birthdays and anniversary shout-outs available, Bible Jeopardy, Beyond the Pulpit, and positive entertainment and ministry. Testimonies and the pastor's moment with Spread the Word. So tune in as we drop the latest gospel hits, 100% flat. It's the Carl D. Springate Gospel Cafe, Sundays from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KYSSFMonline.com and 102.5 FM. And be blessed like that.
One fashion accessories for really low prices. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Beauty supplies and weave, genuine fragrances. Check silver and cents. Check silver and cents. Handbags so beautiful, your friends will envy how you look. With perfume to smell just right, you'll feel like you're in paradise. Watches, silver jewelry, and hair accessories. Check silver and cents in the Amri Mall on Day on Street.
clothes, can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing.
I'm Shaniel Francis. Kyssfm 102.5 is proud to announce its brand new morning show, Backchat, the only place to hear the hottest music.
From local
Check me area code, me area code. Anywhere me go, you know me touch the
to international.
Ay, I go shopping, want it then I cop it. Ay, yeah, bitches popping, I do what they copy.
and have you informed with a range of topics.
tell me nothing.
So on Mondays to Fridays, tune in at 8 to 11.
Tell me nothing.
You won't want to miss the vibes on
Backchat.
Ready or not, you're my clothes.
I wanna fly high up to the sky. I'm living in the mountains. Everybody knows the soil so fertile. If a man sit down naked, the seeds might grow. A delightful getaway from the hustle, bustle and tricks. Oh, what a natural fix if you don't like to mix with the politics. One issue I have to resolve. If I could sort it out, all problems solved. Every time I plant corn and it start to shoot, some idiot keep barking it out the root. Make country flowers in it, bark it up. Make country produce in it, bark it up. Country start to blossom. I don't know who or where they come from. Me blind neighbor say he saw a man resembling one of the politicians. I wasn't there, so I didn't see exactly who barking up my country.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Time has left us. And so I want to close out this evening. But before I do, somebody asked me to ask Timo where the 5,000, not 5,000, 5 million, where the $5 million from solid waste management gone? Who take it? Who know that it gone? Eugene, where the $5 million gone? Give an account to the people. That's public money. And now I hear that you plan to increase rates for garbage in St. Kitts as well. I know they did it in Nevis. And I think you are planning it in St. Kitts. Give an account for the $5 million first. Hold somebody accountable. If not, are you? On that note, I go on. You all have a good evening and enjoy Christmas. I'm not a fan of Christmas, but I could wish you a happy Christmas. You all take care. Nice having you around.
Yes! That's the man Big Lies again. 2020 Virtual Carnival. With me and Mark Bradley. How you doing, my boy? I hear Nevis nice. Ma'am, my Nevis friend, ma'am. Jamie, share the live, share the live. Just one Facebook live session serve to capture the nation's attention. This surprise reaction points to a thirst for information. Whenever there is rumor, one has to counter. Balance and truth always matter. When it's your reputation that's called into question, silence is never an option. We want to know, Timo, we want to know. Why you continue to undermine Maxo? We want to know, Timo, we want to know. Are you subtly telling Nevis they got to go? Tell us why should they accept your ongoing disrespect? Always interfering without informing. You well know that Mark is in charge, but you think you're larger than large. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Ooh, Calypso man. They're gonna try all kind of things. They have their bully people on Facebook, hiding behind all kind of fake profiles. But tell them we're not afraid of them. Hey, paying them all kind of money. You use your bully pulpit, trying your very best to discredit, calling into question many a person's reputation. Honest men and women have been made to defend their good reputation, while on social media persons of dishonor spreading lies and propaganda. So we want to know, we want to know why you, Wallace and Andre does lie so. We want to know, Timo, we want to know where exactly did their campaign money go? Your threat of legal action was just a mere distraction. Meanwhile, hoping that we will forget about the money. But when we see your portfolio of property start to overflow, how did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Yeah, man! Kaiser! Franklin Brand, Gene Conda, what going on? Saman Dwyer, ungratefulness, worse than witchcraft. When one looks at your history, it's clear you have issues with loyalty. Because while in opposition, where did you turn for inspiration? I could well remember Franklin Brand and Gene Conda making sure you were looked after. But since you came to power, you have nothing to offer. Now it's just you, family and brother. So we want to know, Timo, we want to know how on earth you turn ungrateful soul. We want to know, Timo, we want to know. Not even Dwyer you consult anymore. Suddenly you don't like Sam, no respect, you don't give a damn. Ever since you arrived, you don't care if he survive. Forgetting those who help you up, that's the way ingratitude stop. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Kaiser man, Sharon Rattan, I want to say thanks a million. You saved the country a lot of money. But we need answers. We need to know about the severance money. I have one simple question. Please, Timo, can you tell the nation about your severance money? Is it being managed responsibly? Cause I hear in a rumor about a certain fella and a former labor commissioner. Is it true that the quick action from Sharon Rattan save the country 1.2 million? We want to know, Timo, we want to know why you protecting Andre Liebert-Stowe. We want to know, Timo, we want to know just how far are you willing to go to shield him from any attack? Have you pledged to have his back? Are you just protecting or saving your own skin? Some of the things I hear you would do, Mr. PM, I hope that ain't true. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. How did you get so, Mr. Timo? We want to know. Why? Hey, man, we're asking hard questions. Remember, share the life, share the life, share the life. Hi, so Abonati Studio. Abonati.